All right, we're going to dive into this. However, I do want to highlight there's a couple things that I thought were done really, really well. I think you're going to hear me complaining about a lot. Episode 7 a lot, episode 8, and the season as a whole. For me, it just felt kind of pointless. Actually, now that I just took a second glance at the final episode, I watched it a couple days ago, but I'm just reviewing it now. Looking the episode over again, I'm actually a little more annoyed. It wasn't done better because I think there's actually in the very end, there's actually a handful of things I thought were concept-wise were friggin' incredible, but it just didn't live up to that. So if you loved it, hang in there. Well, I'm going to get to some positives, but I'm more negative than anything. I think it's tricky because even though there's stuff concept-wise and even partially execution, the one thing they did execute with the one character in the end, I thought was some of the best stuff they've ever done, hands down, on the series, and that's in the actual finale, but we will get to some of that. But let's, drudge through this episode 7. Is it 7? The Lodge. Oh, Lord. I had to go back and time it because I made a joke that we followed a character walking through the hallways of the lodge with a shotgun, and it was felt like 10 minutes, and someone laughed, and they were like, well, it can't be that long, right? It's actually 12 minutes. I think it's like 11 and a half to be exact. 11 minutes. I shit you not, 11 minutes of a 55-minute roundabout. Let's say roughly around 60-minute. Close to 60 minutes. 11 of those minutes, 1/6 of this episode, is literally the daughter walking around with a shotgun because she hears a noise. 11 straight minutes of that. Anyway, we're going to get to that part, but they show up at the lodge. I mean, it's an empty lodge. How interesting can it get? She takes a shower, and then she falls asleep, and this is where her daughter starts hearing something and decides to check it out. It is around the 14-ish minute mark, let's say.
Mama.
No. All right, so let's say around the 15-minute mark. She's going to hear something. And she gets up, and she starts going through the hallway, and she's looking, nothing, looking. She hears a noise, nothing. Now, this part got me a little weirded out. I thought she heard somebody else in the room, but it was it was a not a zombie, but whatever you call them. It's a zombie. And that ties into something I actually did like within this episode, but they didn't fully grasp it, I felt. But I'm not going to beat you in the head too much with it, but she goes down, and there's now keep in mind, it started around 15 minutes. There's a noise she hears. She comes back up. It's daytime. I guess she didn't sleep. It doesn't matter. But then she goes back downstairs because she hears something, and then right when she finds somebody or something or whatever, then it cuts. So this is around 26. No, is it even farther? Yeah, 26, 27. Okay, so the 27-minute mark is where we cut off. So it's a 12 minutes of her just walking around. That's it. Look at that. Walking around with a shotgun. Holy shit. That is the breaking point I almost had where I almost stopped. I'm going to shut up about it, but I got to say, just 12 minutes of walking around with a shotgun, I couldn't do it. Especially when you rewatch this episode, how do you enjoy that knowing that you started a 12-minute scene of nothing, of somebody just walking with a shotgun? There's no dialogue, there's no, interesting character work. I don't know. So, what ends up happening is they found the Spears guy. Now, this is my fault, and you guys are going to have to correct me down or let me know what happened down below. Spears ran into this. People said that in my last video that he hallucinated the guy he knew from back in the day. If that's the case, I hate it even more because that means none of that matters. I mean, he had the opportunity to get revenge on someone or kill someone or whatever it was. Actually, it wouldn't even have been revenge. It would have been like a really dick move if he killed the guy that he tried killing previously, but then that guy actually helped him out, yada, yada, yada. but he didn't kill them. Bygones, they said. So he learned a lesson, so to speak. Anyhow, that guy's just gone. And I thought they were going to do something interesting where he's somewhere in this building. Maybe he did kill him and he's a zombie, but the guy's just gone. He's never mentioned again. He's not on screen again. And I skimmed through it again. He's nowhere. I mean, the guy mentions we're bygones talking to the blonde chick, the mother, because the mother left him when she found out he was shot, the Spears guy. But you guys help me out. Where did the guy go with the horse? And let's get this out of the way. Yes, the huge coincidence. The Walking Dead does this often, but you got this guy separated in the beginning of the series. They're not headed in the same directions. They don't have the same destinations. They're separated in this huge environment, right, in town, and they somehow both meet up in a lodge out in the middle of nowhere. Whatever. And he's not going to the plane. I think he did hear about the plane from one of the people, but he doesn't know anything about this lodge. He was just walking around at night in the snow and just so happened to run into the lodge. The coincidence is too huge. And the reason why there's a coincidence is because, and this is what actually turned my head, is the mother walks away. And I want to highlight real quick, while the mother walks away, they have a really slow kind of back and forth with the character that was left. And the reason why I'm just going to skip it and it didn't do anything for me is because we had this character that they never set up any development with. They had a bond because they were surviving from season 1, but then spilling over into season 2, they never showed anything. They went right to, he's injured. I think they were in town. He's injured. She leaves him, and that's it. So they don't build any character work before we get to this meetup now, and then he's going to be like, bygones. You know, I forgive you for wanting to leave me. I was wounded. You were right anyway. I'm dying. Whatever it is. But they don't do any character work. They just go like this. Somebody got hurt, and someone's sad. You should, as the audience, you should feel bad for them. And it's kind of like on a human level, you do, in a way. You understand the emotions. You get it. Like the girl, eventually, we're going to get right into this part, but she puts him out of his misery. And there's emotions there. But there's no, you don't have that strong connection because they didn't do any character work. He just verbally says, yeah, I like you because you're on point. You stay on top of things, yada, yada, yada. Stick with your mother. And they didn't do anything as far as writers writing the story to where have a scene, some scenes with him and the daughter previously and build off of that, or I should say set up what's coming here. They didn't do any work. They didn't set it up. He's just injured. She puts him out of his misery. We're supposed to be sad because she's crying. Anyhow, so let's take a break from what's going on because it's a whole just discussion here. This is where they say bygones. But again, they didn't even do any character work with these two. And, oh my God, that guy is in a chair. Okay, I was going back and looking because in one scene, the guy, like, was on the ground and then he throws up when she shoots Spears. And then in the other scene, you don't even see him at all because of the angle. And I'm like, where was that guy? He is in the chair. All right, that's cool. But anyway, here's a perfect example of why I think the flashcards, the way they do it, the title cards, is terrible. Because what they do here is they're going to jump to the mother. Then they're going to show her hearing a gunshot, running out, and her daughter killed Spears. And at first, that turned my head because out of all this bullshit, we have something that actually happened. Holy crap. I mean, she went to go find a zombie, and I thought the zombie she found was going to be like the guy he was with, and here he ended up killing him. The daughter figured something out or found something out, found some information out, and she knew Spears was no good, and he, you know, and she just killed him. I thought there was going to be something, some type of story, because the way it was done. The daughter was just like, we're leaving. She claps him. She's like, we're leaving. No emotions, blah, blah, blah. Then what happens is we see it from the mother's angle. So there's a title card, dessert. Because they're chopping this up, you get the title card, and now the mother stands here for a few minutes. Because the only thing she has to do is hear a gunshot and go in the other room. But because they want to chop the story up, they can't just jump right into it. So she has to stand here for a minute. And then no talking. And this is a lot of Black Summer. Here's an alarm, gets dessert. A couple minutes go by at this point. She hears a gunshot. She runs out. She finds her daughter killed Spears. Here's that guy throwing up. And then she's like, what the fuck did you do? And her daughter's like, we need to go. All like tough and shit. And then the guy runs away. He gets scared. He runs away. They're heading for the plane. And now, because of the choppy editing, we go back and see it from the daughter's perspective. And all that happens is the daughter comes out. He's like, you're right. I got shot. It's infected. I'm dying. And I couldn't kill myself. There was some dialogue I did like. The performance I did like, where he said something about shutting his eyes and not knowing if he was gonna open them again, and he just wants to rest, and this is a good place for him to rest. Essentially, he's done fighting. He wants to get put down. He couldn't do it himself. He asks her to do it. There's a bit of tight, there's shit I liked right in that moment. I think it's cheap how they showed the mother's perspective and then jumped to the daughter's, because you thought something happened, but in reality, it's not. It's a mercy killing. Done. And the daughter, because characters are dumb, they don't discuss things well with each other. This leads to an argument in the next episode that's absolutely, utterly pointless, just to have an argument there, just to build conflict there. So he gives the kid the gun, and she does the thing. I think it actually cuts to the next episode. So that's Lodge, essentially a coincidental, why can't I say that word, meetup where characters from season 1 that were separated in season 2, and one was left for dead by the other one, meet up again. They say it's all good, and then there's a mercy killing. That's it. That's all this episode was. And there's no character work and character development done. It's just them talking, and nothing was set up to help fleshing that stuff out. Now, the way episode 8 started off was fucking terrible. I hate when they chop it up, because now we know this guy gets beat up, but he doesn't get killed. So later when they show this other group, we know who's going to beat him up, because he had friction with the other group before. And he has this dialogue that's actually cool, where he's like, you guys, if we would have worked together, we would have made it. And even later on, the Korean girl, she's looking at, when he's getting beat up, she's looking at her wrists, and she sees the bruises, and I'm like, man, they could have done some powerful shit if he was trying, instead of being like this, generic military cop like guy where he's strict, but he's kind of fair, but still he'll kill people. They really butchered his character, I feel. If they would have made him somebody who was strict to keep his people safe, but also tried to get people to work together and get things done, like when that group came over, instead of him being like, we're gonna take what we want, you, da-da-da, he should have been like, hey, listen, I think there's enough for us to, work something out here. And the other guy could have been like, nah, you know what? Fuck that. We're here. We're going to take what we want. You're not going to stop us. And then that's what tripped him up. And he was like, no, you know what? You're going to fucking relax. You're going to take the scraps and go off, because the guy essentially started it. They don't do any of that character work. And it kind of takes away from his dialogue here, and I wish it's real shitty. And I know he's the one who cut Sun loose, but he's also the one that turned her into a prisoner to begin with. He put her in chains to begin with, and then he frees her. What if the other person's the one who put her in chains, and she was in chains, and he was the one, when he found her, he freed her and brought her into his group. Then when he's getting beat, she would look at her wrists of the bruises, knowing that, he got beat, and this is the one that freed her, because she's safe, because she was nice to the guy who's beating this guy. There's so much of that shit where I wish they would have done something. Instead, they didn't. This guy shows up, and he's all beaten up, and he's yelling at somebody. We know it's the mother. We can easily guess it's the mother, because she's the main character. There's no one else that makes sense for him to talk to like that. Anyhow, so the mother and daughter get to the airfield, and she's like, yo, listen, these people just die. Let me just take a second to talk about these two characters. They were sprinkled in here every now and then. I don't know why, because as soon as they get to the plane area, they walk away. One gets shot, one gets eaten. It's almost as if the writers were like, yeah, we were going to do something. We ran out of money, so we need to get rid of these two characters. And they just literally chopped them off from having a storyline. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, sure, you could, I don't know. Because when you go back and watch it, you see them as characters and you're waiting for them to build some type of story, but you're essentially following just two random survivors who just die for nothing. And it's not even interesting. Anyhow, so this is where all our characters meet up. The mother and daughter plan to take these people out when they're not looking. They run into the military guy or the cop. I think it was a cop. The cop leader and Sun. Is her name Sun? It's like the generic Asian name for characters, isn't it? Was it Sun in Lost too? It might not even be Sun. I'll have to look at it. But yeah. So now the mother goes to put a gun to the back of the cop's head because her idea is I'll kill them, and then we're gonna get on the plane, and that's it. We don't have to deal with these strangers. So look, she goes to shoot him, and instantly there's someone there, and he's like, I wouldn't do that. And the way it's filmed, it's like, oh, come on here, because you know it's coming. Now, when you get to this, first off, okay, this is the guy who's going to beat this guy up. And they play it like it's supposed to be a surprise, but you showed him all bloody and beaten before. And now this guy, the reason I said in my other review, this guy doesn't matter and the story around him doesn't really matter, because he shows them where the airport is and he just dies. Now, if you want to get technical, yes, plot-wise, he's the connecting piece to bring these people, let's say the conflicting group. He brought them. So if you were plotting it out, just what the character did for the plot, that's his sole purpose, is to lead the girls to the lodge. And then, I mean, there's probably a couple little ones there, but basically to bring this group to the plane area for the final conflict. And the way they do it, we know he's going to kill this guy for two reasons. One, they film it in a really shitty way where, we know it's coming. And two, we saw this guy dead already. The guy who's behind me, this guy. We saw this guy dead already. So we know the betrayal is going to come. He's going to kill him. And yeah, he does. He's like, yeah, da-da-da. So he shoots him to make like an extra zombie to guard the area, I imagine, because he says, let him turn. So now we're back to this spot that's supposed to be a surprise. Or at least I think it's supposed to be a surprise, because he's like, hey, what happened to you guys? You didn't meet up with us. And he's like, yeah, we got separated. And he's like, all right, well, that's fine as long as you guys are all good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but look, it's filmed like it's supposed to be a surprise, but we know that he has conflict with this guy, and somehow he doesn't recognize him. Sure, maybe he's focused on his guys, and then, see, the surprise comes. But again, it's not a surprise for us, because we've seen him beaten, and the only guy he had conflict with is in the room right now, teamed up with these guys. So we see it coming a mile away, but that's besides the point. Anyhow, so he puts him down, threatens him. There's a badass line here that I actually was like, okay, I fucking love that, where he's threatening him, and he's like, I want to see the fear in your eyes when I'm beating you, blah, blah, blah.
Knowing what's coming. I actually just want to see the fear.
Yeah, right here. He's like, I actually just want to see the fear in your eyes. And then this guy.
Your eyes.
It's like, yeah.
You see it?
You see it? Yeah, that little, I can't play it and sit there and just let it play because of copyright claims, but that right there, I was like, okay, yeah. I wish they did something with his character, because the actor is giving off a charisma and a charm that is, looks like it definitely could fit. I can see why they casted him, but I wish they would have done something with his character, some character work, instead of just this. The writers are like this, oh, look, he had dead kids in the beginning. Oh, yeah, instantly. Instead of giving us a little, look at the beginning of The Last of Us, the first one. Anyway, look at the beginning of that. We got a couple minutes with the characters, with Joel and his daughter, and it's only a few minutes. And it is like a punch, because they packed so much character work in there. A birthday present, a this and that, father and daughter going back and forth. In this, we just had, oh, he has dead kids. And it's like, oh, but there's no character work there. Anyway, so they beat him. And this was the scene where the one character was looking at her wrists. Yeah, right here. I don't know if I could find it in Yeah, right here. So she's holding out her wrists. And I still think it would be awesome if he was the one that freed her, not being the one that put her in. Because he did free her, but he put her in cuffs or chains. So who cares if he freed her? Anyway, so the daughter goes in the thing and she comes back out and she gives her mother a flare gun. I like that stuff because it shows, it's a little bit that shows the characters are still being smart, even though they do other things that are dumb later on. Anyhow. So obviously he sends people outside. There's zombies. The zombies get in. And here we get the connective piece where the beginning where he's like, you guys are all scum and greedy and blah, blah, blah. Again, if they did real good character work for here, I think it would have been a lot better. But the stuff that he's saying and condemning them for, and maybe this is on purpose. I'm sure people who love this are going to say, yeah, that's on purpose. But the shit that he's yelling at them for, he's done. So it's like, what are you talking about, bro? They're living just like you. You all are living like that. I mean, maybe if he was talking about everyone there, and again, some people are going to say, oh, he meant everyone there, including himself, but I don't buy it. Anyway, so the mother just pulls out a flare gun, and she's like, yeah, this is going to make everything blow up. I'm assuming there was something clearly, yeah, I guess maybe flammable, but what did it hit, though? That flare gun, I could be wrong, but I don't see it bursting through a metal bin, and it doesn't even, at this point, that is the least of their concern, and I do want to get to something I think is badass. She hurt her knee somehow. I don't know. I mean, she did get thrown back, but that's besides the point. It didn't look like anything too serious. The daughter goes running. We know the daughter's not going to get on the plane because in the previous episode, the black guy Spears said, never leave your mother. I don't know why they telegraphed it like that, but I immediately knew, well, obviously she's not going to leave her mom, but they telegraph it way too hard. And Sun leaves, and I think that's her name. I keep calling her Sun, but that part I actually liked, and this part, I think this part highlights my frustration, yet the reason why I even watched all 8 episodes is because you have this fucking amazing, awesome, partially, scene where this guy is running for 10 minutes in and out of the building and fighting zombies. I wish I could show you bigger clips, but I mean, here's another perfect example. I mean, zombies are coming and he's ducking and diving and running and, jiving and all that, and he comes around. But this is a perfect example of why I think the way they film it with the shaky cam and all this other nonsense just doesn't work. Because first off, it's not pleasant to just shake it like crazy. Shaking it doesn't make it interesting. But not only that is they do this type of up close blurry so they can cut the camera and make it look like it's one edited shot or unedited shot all the way through. But the way they do it is so jarring and in your face. That's where the edit is. And they should just edit it anyway. Stop trying to do this trick, because if you don't do it cleanly, it's distracting. Anyhow, so this is where they do the edit. He picks her up, slams her down, hits her with a hammer. Bam, bam. I think the hammer even bends in half a couple times. You can tell it's fake, but it doesn't matter. It gets the job done. But here's what I mean, though. You have this thing where he hits her with a hammer, boom, boom, boom. But it's so, it's so, I don't want to say off screen. It's on screen, but you still don't see shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think if they would have done anything at all to kind of calm down with the camera work, hone in on them a little bit, and let us feel that hammer into the skull of the infected, and apply that approach to this whole scene, it would have been one of the best scenes in a zombie series, because it has the tension and suspense. He's running for his life, and it is crazy and hectic. I'll play a couple ditches down this street, falls down here. He even comes into this room, he throws shit down. He's going to be going in and out of areas, climbing on top of places. It does have that. Look, that was cool at least. And I think in some of these scenes, again, it is the fact that you do see it, but it's like a blurry, shaky mess, and it's not pleasant visually. But if they would have got it so it was a little cleaner with a lot of these highlight moments, I think it would have been incredible. But this is a really long, just intense. This is the stuff I've wanted. I've wanted shit like this in The Walking Dead for so long, and I still enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, like I'm saying, it's like it's enjoyable, but most of it you can't see. It's so shaky and blurry and all over the place. Does it matter if it's like, yeah, I know that was really intense, but you couldn't see it. So anyhow, once he's finally done, he gets a hold of a gun. I will say though, when you're watching it, you know that there's some army guys or survivors that are already dead. So when he was like throwing the zombies around and getting knocked down, I honestly was expecting him to do some cool kind of, not like professional John Wick type killing shit, but I really expected him to get like up against something and it's like, oh my God, I can't get out of this. You got a zombie here. There's another one running down the hall. Maybe it's a bigger one of the survivor type zombies. And he notices the guy's still got a gun on his hip. It's a zombie. It's a gun. He's not going to use it, or he didn't lose it. He's not going to use it. So he ends up pulling the gun out, shooting the zombie, shooting the other one, and then continues to run, shoots a couple more. I thought they were going to incorporate that. And it's a shame that they do it, but once all the zombies are done, it's like he finds the gun. I just wish they would have tossed that in a little bit because, again, it brings up some of the action. Maybe a knife that's in the zombie's shoulder because he does pick up weapons that are laying around. I love that aspect because of how hectic and fast and yada, yada, yada. But having a screwdriver in a zombie and he yanks it out, stabs him, zombie falls and keeps it going, and maybe you even have to kind of watch it twice to go, oh shit, he pulled that screwdriver out of that zombie's shoulder and yada yada yada. Anyhow, but don't do it quick, but don't do it blurry and shaky, and that's why people didn't see it the first time. But anyhow, so he walks out, and because he found the gun, the zombie we know that led everybody here, that was executed by that guy, he shows up and he shoots him. Now here's my thing. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, help me out down below, but what's his story? I mean, he's barely got any character work, but he's in this throughout. In the beginning he was robbing people, blah blah blah, and now he's just here. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. He's not in the rest of the episode. Maybe they're like, oh, he's going to spill over into season 3. Okay, but I think everyone splits up. In season 3, one person split up in a plane. So in season 3, are they all going to somehow meet? This is running long. Let me just get to, there's not much here because they wake up. It's like 33 minutes in. They wake up, no dialogue, the mother and the army guy, and just look at each other. He's got a gun aimed at her. And it felt like it was 10 minutes of them staring at each other. So 33 to, okay, it's about 4 minutes of them just no talking, just staring at each other. And there's no dialogue, no character work. And I keep saying that, but I'm kind of jumping around between character development and character work because it's just them looking at each other, and it kind of feels like they were going, oh, if we leave it ambiguous, then it's easier for fans to praise us because then our fans are going to run around and fanboy out and say, that's what the filmmakers wanted you to feel. Oh, they came to an agreement. That's why they didn't kill each other. And it's kind of like, I don't want them to sit there and be like, yeah, this is stupid. I agree. Let's not kill each other. But do some type of wordplay or acknowledgement or something. I don't know. Instead of this whole like just standing here. So apparently they're in a car, and that's how they ended it. They began looking for, they were scavenging in the beginning of this season. Then they wanted to find a house to sleep at. Then they wanted to find the plane because the plane was going to take them somewhere to a safer location with other survivors. And they end up just on the ground, bloody, bruised, beaten. And I don't even know if they've learned any lessons because the mother started just the same. Her arc went like this, started and did nothing. Her arc isn't an arc. Anyway, you could say the daughter changed, but they have her not talk and do much for the majority of this, except for a mercy kill that Her arc kind of felt like it was here and just went here, or here and went here. It didn't have a full one, so they're just here now. Anyway, now we get to something that I actually did enjoy. In season 1, Sun spoke Korean. Is that her name? She spoke Korean, and no one understood her. And the show, I admit, I think it's stupid, but what they do is they don't let the audience know what she's saying. Even when you turn on the subtitles, like there's no, if you were curious, speaking Korean, they won't tell you. And I think that is so incredibly stupid, it's not even funny. For the characters to not know what she's saying, perfect. It works. There's a language barrier. And I like and I give them credit for them not allowing her to pick up a couple words and suddenly can understand, because that's like the Hollywood way of learning another language. When someone who doesn't speak another language, within a couple episodes, they're like, oh, dog, oh, walk, oh, water. And then 2 episodes later, they can't speak the language, but they understand the person clearly. They don't go that route, and I give them a lot of credit for that. And in season 1, I still think it's stupid as shit not to let us know what she's saying, but no one else understands her at all. And then in season 2, they continue that. They don't do much with her story, but she's speaking Korean. She gets on the plane. She's a good person from what we see. She's loyal to her friend. She tried to help people. She tried to help strangers. She was the one who was taken prisoner. She's probably like one of the most innocent and the best characters morally on the show. And this part I thought was fantastic, where she gets on the plane and she says something in Korean, and the pilot starts talking back to her in Korean, and she's a bit shocked. And then she's like, wait, you understand what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, I speak a little Korean. And then he's like, I bet you didn't expect to run into someone, or something like that. And she was like, yo, every day I woke up and thought about, finally running into somebody that would understand me. And you kind of feel for her a little bit. Imagine being in a zombie-infested post-apocalypse, and no one even understands you. No one even speaks your language. I mean, that is an extra level of shit you got to deal with every single day. That's probably maddening, because you can't even talk to someone to vent. You know what I'm saying? And she had someone to talk to for a little bit early in season 1, but for the most part, it's been nothing. And then now in season 2, it ends with her finding somebody, and they have solid dialogue with her, just good acting, solid dialogue, and it hits. It was set up. They paid it off. Well, this is the payoff, but they set it up and they did maintenance on this with people not understanding her for all of season 1 and all of season 2, and did fantastic. I think she said like one English word, which was like friends or friendship or something like that. But the point is, they killed this moment here where she's like, oh my God, someone understands me, and blah, blah, blah. That's what kept her going. It's fantastic. Like I said, if they did more with her character, I read a screenplay a long time ago that talked about, I forget the word for it, but it's having things happen to your characters instead of your character kicking things off. As a loose example, meaning your character you don't want your character to walk outside, get kidnapped, then get released, then do this, then do that. You don't want things to just happen to him, because sure, he gets kidnapped, cool, but you don't want them to just release him. You want things to happen, unless that's not your main character, especially for a main character. If it's just some random side character helping the plot along, but if it's your main character, you don't want them. You want them to try to escape, to try to this, to try to that. You want them to, they escape, but now they're on the hunt in a different, jungle or country, because you want your lead character doing something. They have a lot of things happening to her, and only her doing a little bit of the work. And I feel like that did hurt her character overall. But I still think, get back to that, bro. I still think, I loved that one element, that aspect of her running into someone that spoke her language. I thought that was friggin' incredible. Let me run to the and you guys can go and vote down below. How do you feel about this episode? I'm gonna put a straw poll. Really, bro. I'm going to put the straw poll in the video description and the comment box. I thought they were going to do a credits with the characters. They're probably going to do it coming up, but maybe I missed it. But yeah, straw poll. Go and vote if you want to on the end or the season 2 and how it ended. I'll put it in the video description and I'll pin it in the top comment. This was an extra long one, so I had a lot more I wanted to say, and I just wanted to do it all in one, and here it is. So that's Black Summer Season 2. Give me your thoughts and opinions down below. I probably should have split these up. Sorry about the long video. I'm done talking. My final review, my final rating, I thought it was kind of a waste of time, but it was nice seeing some of this stuff, giving me an idea of, or at least giving me a little look at some stuff I would have loved if it was done a little cleaner, like that runaway from the zombies bit in episode 8, and some of the other character stuff that didn't have enough character work built into it. But you guys give me your thoughts and opinions down below. I'm done talking. It's your turn.